Hello, people. Yes, I am re-embarking on the journey. Excuse me, the journey that is my 500 subs Q&A. Yeah, 500 subs Q&A special thing. This might take a while. I'm going to try and film this all in one stint right now. I won't make you watch it all in one go. I'm not that much of a bastard, but I'll edit it up into nice little bite-sized chunks for you. But I'm going to try and do this now. I've got this to keep me going because it's quite toasty outside, so I'm going to need it, and obviously to help me tell my voice, because I will be, you know. So yeah, I've got about halfway to go. It's been a while. I've been meaning to do this for a while, but just finding a window to do it, you know. And also I wanted to get my prizes ready. I think I explained in my last video. I'm going to crack on, but actually before I do, I wanted to tell you something. When I got all these questions, I had a quick scan through. And just to sort of give myself an idea of what the questions were, just so I wasn't coming to them like just sort of blind, so I could maybe formulate a few more ideas in my head, but not you know, to over rehearse it, but to get a few ideas in my head. And one of the ones that really lodged in my head was I couldn't say who asked it. Pardon me. It was I think it was what pet peeves do you have, or bugbears or annoyances do you have, something like that. And it was just, it stuck. It was the one that really stood out. It was going over and over and over in my head, and I'd come up with this massive list of stuff, and the question would take ages to answer, because there's no way I could edit any of it out, because you know, it's, you know, as far as I was concerned, it's really important stuff. But when it came to getting back to it, I read back the questions, and that question didn't exist. So fuck knows where I got it from. I can't imagine where it came from. But what does that say about me if I just invented a question about your frustrations and annoyances and Jesus. Anyway, enough of that. Back to it. Yeah, I'm going to try and do this in one big stint. I might even disappear and make myself some dinner and come back. Turn it into like a bit of a session. So feel free to stick around if you can. Join me on this journey. So, this is the first question back. It's from Only DLB, and he says, Heisenberg or Jesse? Well, if anybody doesn't know, that refers to the two main characters of one of my favourite ever television programmes. I say ever. It's quite a recent television programme, but I would say it is one of my favourites. It's Breaking Bad. And Only DLB watched the video of mine where I recommended the television programme, and he said that on my recommendation, he went away and watched it and really enjoyed it. So we both know who Heisenberg and Jesse are. So if anybody else hasn't seen it, it's Breaking Bad. Go and watch it. Brilliant. Heisenberg or Jesse? Well, I'd have to say Jesse, primarily because he's sort of the innocent party. He's sort of Walter White, or Heisenberg as he calls himself. He's more aware of what's going on, whereas Jesse doesn't have a fucking clue. But you also know that he's the sort of the archetypal kid gone off the rails. But you know that there's certain points in the story where you get to see his sort of genuine good side, that he doesn't actually do a lot of bad if you think about it. Things that sort of happen to him, regardless of the fact he's like sort of a crack addict. I mean, there's one episode where he has to he goes to visit these two smack addicts, and he encounters a little kid in that particular episode, and you see how he treats the little kid. Whereas Heisenberg is more aware of what's going on, he's more in control. And things that just happen to Jesse, and you get to see the frustrations, and it's sort of quite endearing. So I'd have to go with Jesse for that, probably also because he's sort of more my generation. I seem, not that my life is anything like his, but there's more of myself in him than Heisenberg, I'd say. I don't know, actually I don't know where that came from. That was just a totally off the cuff thought. That only just came to me. So I'll have to go with Jesse. That's just thanks only DLB for those questions. Gav Sabbath asks, favourite biscuits? Well, this is very important to me. Biscuits. Biscuits are very, or cookies if you're in America, are very nice and almost essential accompaniments to a cup of tea. This might be an interest to A. Murphy because he never has biscuits with his tea. He's been doing his tea videos. But I always, not always, but majority of the time I have to have something dunking with tea. And some biscuits are better than others. Chocolate generally as a rule doesn't work. Can't have chocolate, but some ways you can, but majority of the time you can't. My dunking favourite at the moment is custard creams. I do like these. Ginger creams are quite nice for dunking. But they all have their own sort of technique, and they all have their own sort of what's the word? Saturation point. So there's a certain technique to be able to pull them out without breaking. Like for instance, a round digestive is good for dunking, but I find you dunk it in and you have to count so far, and then there's a definite sort of technique. It's sort of like you have to rotate it like that, so the wet bit is pointing upwards. Otherwise, it will just drop straight off. You can't do it that, flip it that way, because its structure its integrity has been structural integrity has been compromised. So back to the question, my favourite biscuit would be at the moment, because it does vary, it would be a custard cream. Also, but honourable mention for these things called Abernathy's. They don't get much love. You don't often hear about them, but they're lovely. I love them. Really, really brilliant for tea. So thanks, Gav Sabbath. I think Gav Sabbath and ONDLB are both in Hull, if I'm correct. I might be totally wrong. For some reason, I get the impression that you both know each other. I don't know why. If I'm wrong, ignore that. If you are both in Hull, maybe we can go and meet up. No, seriously, ignore it. Next question is from A. Murphy. It's a question asked in a way that only A. Murphy can ask. It's very sort of to the point, no messing around. Anybody who knows A. Murphy knows that's what he's like. There's no messing around, you know. This sort of calls a spade, does A. Murphy. Do your friends and family know you're on YouTube? Well, yeah, pretty much, but none of them have ever watched my videos, I don't think. Only a few of my friends have actually know my username, or I've ever sent links to my username. My Father Christmas, or the video Father Christmas on it, you know, when Father Christmas came to visit and he did his video, I sent that specifically instead of a Christmas card to a couple of my friends. So I sent the link to them, but I couldn't say whether they've ever watched anything. I've told people my mum knows about it, primarily because certain individuals who are just there are certain individuals who elicit some amount of frustration in this sort of YouTube community. And I only told her about it as like a sort of a sounding board, just to sort of air my grievances to someone, my frustrations. And I was quite surprised that she actually seemed to grasp the the whole story, which I think is remarkable because of the sort of the depths of this particular story, it's just insane, and the lunacy involved is just not something you have to experience to really get a grip of it. And she seemed to get it, but my mate Mike, Country Mike, I keep trying to get him on the video, but he's not the sort of person that would really really want to. He wants to watch some of my videos because I did tell him about that same story, but I'm not sure any of them are really that bothered, because not too many of my friends are gamers. They have game systems and stuff like 360s, and Mike's got an original Xbox, but they're not to the same extent that I am. So yeah, they know about it, but not really that bothered, really interested, which is the way I like it, really. Because this is my thing, this is my world. And at the end, after his question, A. Murphy says, "That's your lot." See, that exactly, that's A. Murphy to a T, isn't it? So thanks, A. Murphy, for following that. Mr. Middle Kick, the one-on-one fighter, expert par excellence aficionado. If you ever want to know anything about one-on-one fighters, go and check out his channel, because just the knowledge is just absolutely astounding. So Mr. Middle Kick, over there in Finland, I think. Again, I apologise if that's wrong. First question, 5 questions. First of 5. Your weapon of choice during a zombie apocalypse and why? Well, I've mentioned this in a recent tag video, but that was only to do with video game weapons. My actual weapon of choice, because I do have a zombie plan already formulated for whenever it's needed. I'd get down to a hardware store or a B&Q, something like that, a DIY shop, and I'd get myself two hatchets, and I'd get them in a holster, so I'd be able to draw them like that. And that would be for the sort of the real sort of last minute sort of desperate stakes. I've got 2 hatchets because they're not too heavy, but they can do some damage, and you can wield them quite quickly. Sorry, there's a woman just going past. No problem. I thought she was looking at me, getting embarrassed, getting self-conscious. So I've got these 2 hatchets. So I mean, I wouldn't have to go and pay for them because it would be zombie apocalypse, and money doesn't really exist when that happens, does it? No longer exists. It's no longer relevant. So I have these 2 hatchets. But also, I probably need some sort of projectile weapon, because you can't, you need something for work at distance. You might need it. So I'd have to say, going back into the old video game realms, I'd have to say the hot bolt gun from Half-Life 2, because I love it. It's brilliant. It's accurate and it makes a lovely noise, and it's almost like ritual humiliation in death as well. The way they hang limply afterwards, or pinned to a wall. That's just I love it. If that doesn't make me sound insane. So yeah, I'd have 2 hatchets. That'd be my realistic weapon of choice. But if it was in the realms of fantasy, I'd add to that a hot bolt gun from Half-Life 2. Second question from Mr. Middle Kick. You get to rename the Wii U. What would you rename it? Well, I've always thought the Wii sounds like onomatopoeia, doesn't it? Onomatopoeia. It's like it's like a word given to a sound, like a woof would be onomatopoeia, or meow is onomatopoeia, or anything like that. It's like a word attributed to a sound. And I always thought the Wii and the Wii U also sounds like onomatopoeia, and it made me think of the sound effects, visuals you get in the old Batman television series. And some of them, because I've been watching it recently, because they've been repeating it on ITV4, I think, and
Some of the words they come up with are mental. I actually wrote some down. Obviously you've got the standards like kapow and kaplop, and there's one FLRBBBBB, flibberb. I wouldn't call it that, but my favourite one is brief and to the point. It's BAP. I call it the Nintendo BAP because it's punchy. The Nintendo BAP. There you go. I hope that's not too idiotic. Number 3, if a theme song played wherever you entered the room, what song would it be? Well, I know exactly what this would be. I'm going to leave a link in the description box below. Anybody, for anybody, check it out. It would be. I'd choose 2 for entering and leaving a room. A different tune for each. The first one would be the theme tune to Frank the Postman from Bod. And it's a children's television programme from the 70s in the UK. I'm not sure it ever went anywhere else in the world. I can't imagine it did because it's very English. And my exit theme would be Farmer Barleymow's theme. And I urge you to check out the link below. I think the Postman Frank's theme, it's only a few seconds long, and I think it starts about 20 seconds into the video, and Farmer Barleymow's theme carries on straight afterwards, and I just love them. I think they're exactly the sort of like an entry theme. So yeah, check out the link. Question 4: could you kill one man to save 10, 100, 1,000? Could I kill? I doubt it. I mean, I tend to think that any sort of death is a failing, and it's avoidable. There's no, apart from in the general scheme of things, there's no point when death is absolute. Obviously, we're all going to die eventually, but there's no point where premature death is unavoidable. So I can't ever imagine a point when I would have to. Again, it's another one of those hypothetical scenarios that that don't exist in the real world. Could you kill one man? I could never. I say it again. I could never imagine a situation when a premature death of someone would be unavoidable. So to weigh up the two together, I think a death of one person is as bad as unavoidable. So in the sense, the death of 10,000 or 1,000,000 is unavoidable. So they're both as bad as each other, just felt on a different scale. Just wittering. So that was jolly. So no, I don't think I could. No. In a hypothetical scenario, no. I'd have to say no. And finally, from Mr. Middlekick, self-aware AIs, what's up with them? Well, I think AI in video games is just probably the most difficult thing to get right, because it's obviously artificial intelligence, and it's once AI is perfected, I think it's a slippery slope for us as human beings, because obviously once AI is perfected, becomes self-aware, and then to that point there's no sort of degradation in artificial intelligence, would there? So we age and we lose our faculties, whereas AI doesn't. It can only improve, and it can only refine, so it's going to get to the point where it almost sort of perfects itself. And I think that's quite a scary thought, is that we just sort of return to the earth, and AI just improves and refines and gets to the point, gets to that sort of zenith, that apex of efficiency.
So self-aware eyes, what's up with them? I don't think that's answered your question. I mean, the achievement of creating any AI, or good AI, especially good AI in video games, is just amazing. But it's not to be underestimated, because it's obviously a really tough thing to do. So I'm not sure if that answers any questions, but I hope it did. So thanks a lot for Mr. Middlekick for those questions.